Hello all. We are going to talk today very briefly about the insurgencies that take place in Neverwinter Games' Descent into Avernus release. I'll do a little bit of background for those who are tabletop players, and then we'll go and show how an insurgency takes place. It's a recorded video that I did a while back. So let's start with some real basics. Avernus is Avernus is the top layer of Hell. There are 9 hells, and Avernus is the top one. And this all takes place with the premise that a castle is being dragged into the first layer of Hell. The ruler of the plane of Avernus is a creature known as Zariel, who formerly used to be an angel from Celestia, one of the good planes in the multiverse. And there is a lot of back and forth here as to who is the ruler of this top layer of Hell. It's changed over time. Going back a while, it was Tiamat. Tiamat is a very famous goddess. She is the dragon goddess. She looks like a huge multi-headed dragon with one head for each of the colors of the dragons. So Tiamat used to rule Avernus and apparently did such a bad job that the ruler of all of the 9 hells, called Asmodeus, decided to demote her. And he named Zariel to replace her. Zariel had become sort of evil, driven by her desire to destroy all of the devils, or all of the demons. So she becomes a warrior in the Blood War, fighting off all these demon forces. Zariel is eventually overthrown by Bel. Bel is a devil who rose through the ranks over time and was able to even beat her. Went all the way up, changing form from one type of devil to the next until he rose to become a lord and overtook her. Later, she is able to win back rulership around the time of 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. And Bel is under her control. He's forced to become her advisor and is biding his time to take control. As the adventurers meddle in affairs in the 9 hells, in the case of the Neverwinter game, they are weakening Zariel as they start to help this castle. Bel becomes involved, and one of the things he does here is he sends waves of devils to attack the adventurers, knowing that this actually weakens Zariel and draws her into the fray. So let's take a look at these actual insurgencies. They're events that happen periodically on the Avernus map. And what I like about it is it really captures the craziness of what the Blood War would be like. This is only devils, not devils and demons, but it gives you that feeling of just waves of devils coming in, one after the other. All right, so let's do an insurgency. This is something that'll take us not too much time. So an insurgency is where the forces of Bel are attacking one of the areas where one of the kind of floating islands in Avernus around the keep, and the chains that come out of the citadel go through here. As you can see, that big chain behind me as I fight away at these devils. And devils are brought in by Bel in these portals. And as I'm doing this, when I attack them, it charges up what's called my glyph work magic, but you can only do 20% per day. I have already done my 20% and actually advanced to the next level. So if you look over on my quest text over the side, it says 0% absorb, and so I can no longer do that. But you can get a feel for what this is like. I'm fighting away at various creatures, and as I take them down, I would in theory be absorbing energy. Now what's nice about this is it's not a super long time to do this. What's tough about it is you have to watch a timer for when these events happen and come up. They can be a little hard. Some of these monsters do hit pretty hard, so if you're a moderately geared character, it's difficult in terms of Neverwinter itself. In terms of the story, fly around so you can see kind of what this looks like. The visuals are kind of cool. So what we're here on is a big node, and you can see there is the kind of land of Valenhas, and then we have these giant chains that go out and are pulling it into the abyss. We have the floating citadel that Zariel commands, these huge chains that join these various islands, which you can see I'm on one of them here. All these chains are going around the islands or through them or near them, and then holding this area of the stronghold of Valenhas to destroy it. I can go to other rifts, so they actually closed the rift here and succeeded, so I could go to a different island if I wanted to, but I'll just kind of go around here. You can see other chunks of rock around. I can go back down to this portal, but it's kind of neat to see. Now, it's saying this Bel Legion approaches, so as people are closing these various rifts, you get rewards. That's kind of fine for the game. But in addition to that, you can go to, before enough of these rifts are closed, you can go to other portals and continue to fight the legions of Avernus. So you can see here another group that's fighting, and we can help them out. Sometimes a boss appears, and that boss is some sort of major devil that is in league with all the various, with Bel, and that can have special drops and things like that, so people like to do it from a mechanical perspective. Story-wise, you don't get a lot of time to appreciate it. The thing usually dies before you can have fun. Just like similarly here, you know, some of these creatures are actually really neat if you stop and then look at them. Hellrider Narzagon above this flaming horse, you know, sort of nightmare mount. You've got Hellguards that have these different ways that they use their shields and attack and everything. Succubus can kind of control you and fires these rays of fire at you. So there's some pretty neat abilities. When you do some damage to the mounts, they can separate rider from mount. But in this kind of situation where a lot of people are attacking, it tends to go by pretty quickly, and you don't get to really appreciate the monsters too much the way you might in a normal zone walking around doing quests. But, you know, it's a part of the MMO mentality to sort of advance. It's fine. There's nothing majorly wrong with how this all works, but it just is what it is. So yeah, so here I am, you do this. Depending on how many people are involved, this stage can go really, really quickly. Like you could just be jumping into here and you're doing a little bit of this, and before you know it, enough rifts have been closed, and it's time to go off and do the next stage, which is to fight Bel, and I'll cover that in a separate video. But if what you're doing is, if you're playing through this, then what you're doing is trying to charge up. So you get higher, when you get to 100%, you get a new rank in the organization. You've proven yourself by collecting these energies. Okay, that's sort of what's going on story-wise. As a campaign, there's not much I would draw here for actual D&D tabletop play, other than the location. The location's neat, right? Being in these, you know, if you were trying to do something like prevent, so we see here the event has ended, it's time to fight Bel. If what I was doing was creating a campaign, what I might use is the idea that there are these floating chunks of rock that you could explore to see what's on them, right? So if you had some central area, like say it's the city of Eltergard or Elturel or wherever you've if this were Elturel that's being dragged into Avernus, but there are these islands around, doing something on those islands could be kind of cool. Maybe there's a weak point in the chains, maybe there's someone important, someone with knowledge, but having a reason to come out here, that could be pretty neat. In the idea of this Neverwinter implementation with Valenhas, we have the idea that this order of wizards is helping to maintain this area, and they're helping maintain these portals that allow us to go back and forth, just as they maintain the shields around Valenhas itself. See where we are back in Valenhas stronghold in the very center of the area, or you know, the center of the keep. So that's a kind of cool idea, the idea that would create those rifts. Mechanically, once Bel decides to show up, it creates a rift here, and we'll talk next about how that works and how you go face with the person who used to be the leader of Avernus itself. Kind of cool part of the lore. That's it.